Hello, Miami. This is 305 Sports Now, your home podcast and channel for all things Miami sports related. I am Will, and first and foremost, I'd like to thank all of you out there for staying up with me as the Miami Heat have taken a commanding 3-1 lead against the New York Knicks with a chance to close it out Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden. As once again, the Miami Heat have proven that they are playoff ready and they're absolutely up to the task to pretty much beat any team that they're just basically in front of them. Before I begin, I just want to say congratulations to the Florida Panthers, as the Florida Panthers have taken a commanding 3-0 lead against the Toronto Maple Leafs, as they defeated the Maple Leafs, in overtime by a score by Reinhardt at the end, pretty much at overtime, and the Panthers hope to close it out, Tuesday night over in Broward County, right? But let's get down to business. Oh, before I also get down to business, I also want to say that I do want to give the Panthers a little bit more coverage. It's been really hard lately. As you can tell, it's been a very busy South Florida sports environment with the NFL draft. The Miami Hurricanes now ramping up, the recruiting as well as their transfer portal acquisitions, and also the Miami Heat in the playoffs. But once the Panthers continue to go forward, I will be covering a little bit of the Cats as well. So stay tuned for that. But of course, the guests of honor tonight are the Miami Heat, as once again, as I mentioned earlier, have taken a 3-1 commanding lead against the much hated New York Knicks. But let's go starting first with game 3, as the Miami Heat crushed the Knicks Saturday afternoon, winning by a score of 105-86. Jimmy Butler coming back from an injury in which he missed game 2, which I still say they were robbed, and Scott Foster robbed the Miami Heat. This should have been a sweep tonight, but nonetheless, coulda, woulda, shoulda, doesn't really matter. Jimmy Butler came back in game 3 and had an epic game with 28 points. Bam Adebayo had a solid game as well with 17 points and 12 rebounds. I covered all that in the YouTube shorts, so please check it out on my YouTube channel, 305 Sports Now. And Max Strus chimed in, going 7 for 14 from the field as well. Now on to game 4, as Miami Heat win 109-101. To give the Knicks a little bit of credit, Jalen Brunson did keep the game respectable for his team, as he did have 32 points for the New York Knicks. But Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo combining for 50 points, as Jimmy Butler had a double-double tonight. 27 points once again in the game, 10 assists, and Bam Adebayo with 23 points, 13 rebounds, and let's not forget Max Strus, 16 points of his own, including 4 3-pointers. Kyle Lowry with 15 points, 4 assists off the bench as well. But the talk of the night comes from pretty much the hustle points and the rebound department and work inside the paint, as the Miami Heat dominate the New York Knicks 44-38, pretty much on the boards, as they dominate the rebounding department. 13 of those were offensive rebounds, and let's go back, as they were just absolutely killing the Knicks on the boards in the fourth quarter, which was the money quarter. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, this game should have been a lot worse, with both teams respectively shot horrifically in the fourth quarter. The Miami Heat had a bunch of second chance points that were pretty much given to them by the Knicks. The Knicks were supposed to be the superior rebounding team, a top 5 team in the NBA. Coming into the series were just big boyed by the Miami Heat. All right, so it was just a fantastic game tonight, and Pat Riley must have been extremely proud watching from the stands, as he always said, no rebounds, no rings. That's always been his philosophy. But one thing I want to go over is Tom Thibodeau. All right, Tom Thibodeau, the head coach of the New York Knicks, to give him credit, he did get his team to being the 5th seed, and he did get them into the playoffs. But Tom Thibodeau is a guy who has a lot of history with the Miami Heat, including our very own Jimmy Butler, coaching him on 2 separate occasions, both in Chicago and also in Minnesota. I've always felt that Tom Thibodeau is incredibly overrated. Winning Coach of the Year back in 2011, Tom Thibodeau's always been a guy that has always been, or at least early on in the early 2010s, was always put in front of Eric Spoelstra, because Eric Spoelstra had the curse of having Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh. But I attest to this, that I have never seen a team or a coach win a championship without star players, okay? It is very rare that you see that. The only exception I could think of was Larry Brown with that Detroit Pistons team, but even then, some of those players were really, really good, like Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, and Ben Wallace. Were very talented basketball players. Tayshaun Prince as well was a lockdown defender. But nonetheless, like whether it's the Showtime Lakers, Larry Bird and the Celtics, whether it was Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson, those Bulls teams and those Lakers teams, Star power is important to win championships. You cannot deny that. It is part of our history, and the NBA is built on stars. So let's get that straight. But Tom Thibodeau was for a long time was always put in front of Eric Spoelstra. And I will say this right now, Tom Thibodeau is the most overrated coach in the NBA. And I'll tell you why I say, or at least one of them. The reason why I say that is because he overworks his players and he's very stubborn when it comes to his defensive philosophy, which is always good, but he can't manage to get out of his own way, offensively speaking, whether it was in Minnesota, Chicago, and now even New York. To New York's credit, the assist ratio was really high, but in many cases, you see very stagnant basketball from the New York Knicks, like you saw in Chicago, even with a guy like Derrick Rose, who's an ultimate playmaker. What I'm trying to say here is, and all the Knicks fans, if you're listening to me out there, I'm really sorry to tell you, but Eric Spoelstra, that's Tom Thibodeau's daddy, all right? Tom Thibodeau cannot beat Spo, all right? He will not beat Eric Spoelstra. No way, no how. The New York Knicks on paper, were supposed to be the better team in this series. There's no way you're coming back from 3-1 because the Miami Heat are in your head. You won game 2 with a referee's assistance, and even some of you online in New York have said, thank you, Scott Foster, for giving us that game. So you know very well that you didn't deserve game 2. All right. You were up, not up, I'm sorry. You were shooting the ball at a 50% clip through 3 quarters in this basketball game in game 4. Now, he shot very well, but you were shooting a 50% clip and you were still down by double-digit points well into the game. The Miami Heat are in your head. Okay. Eric Spoelstra is Tom Tibbs' daddy. All right. Tom Thibodeau will not beat Eric Spoelstra in the series, and he probably won't beat him as an Knicks head coach, because what's probably going to happen is that eventually they're going to get Jimmy Butler, another guy. All right. As much as Bam has been dominant, and now Bam is killing you in 2 games. He's killed you in 2 games. A guy that has been criticized for not scoring, a max player who wasn't scoring enough, does things, on the defensive side of the ball and rebounds, but has been very criticized here in South Florida because he hasn't put enough points on the board, is now putting points on the board. So now you're dealing with Jimmy Butler, and now you're dealing with Bam Adebayo, and the team is shooting very well. And you just got big boy tonight. All right, the Miami Heat big boyed you, okay, on the boards and on offense and also on defense. So that's what I'm pretty much what I have to say. So even if you do win in Madison Square Garden, the mecca of basketball, give me a freaking break. You haven't won a championship since the 70s. All right, the mecca of basketball and so on. You still got to come down to Miami and try to win another one to send it right back to New York. You're not doing that. You're not doing that because the Miami Heat, as of right now, got your number. And the thing with the Miami Heat, they're playing with so much confidence and they have so much experience that they're a very difficult team to beat. And this is a team that's loaded with guys that were barely drafted or undrafted. You're getting beat by guys like Gabe Vincent, get beat by guys like Caleb Martin. You're getting beat by guys like Max Strus. All right. And you're getting beat by guys that are already past their prime, like Kevin Love. I'm not a Knicks fan. You can totally tell. All right. I grew up in the rivalry between the Miami Heat when it was Pat Riley versus Jeff Van Gundy. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the Knicks always got the better end of those games. At least they were competitive. These games are not. The Miami Heat are in the Knicks' head. Sorry. All right. So that's all I got to say. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, congratulations to Miami Heat. All right. Again, I will be bringing you some coverage of other events in South Florida. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. Have a safe day. God bless. See you soon. Go Heat.